about to start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Come on, everybody, put your hands up.
Jazzy Joe Entertainment presents
India Mix Master. Jazzy Joe meets Top Indian DJ. Here we go.
Check it out. Check it out. Check it out.
Hi everyone, welcome to this new web series and episode of Jazzy Joe Meets India's Mix Masters, the web series where I talk to the leading top DJs in India. In each episode, we feature one top leading Indian DJ and we ask him a few questions about his career, his life and his views about music and clubs in India. I hope you will all enjoy and support my humble effort in talking to India's Mix Masters. This time, I'm talking with another one of India's unique and popular disc jockeys. Dear friends, I'm happy and proud to present one of India's greatest mix masters, Bangalore's Live Wire, and my dear friend, Clement D'Souza. Clement D'Souza's impressive career, spanning over 2 decades, boasts gigs at clubs across Mumbai and Bangalore: Royalty, China House, Club Inferno, Spin, Hypnos, Insomnia, City Bar, Sutra, etc. He is a regular at the IPLs and has been the official DJ for Mumbai Indians for 10 years and counting. He has shared the stage with some of the biggest international artists including Akon, Nadia Ali, David Guetta, Steve Aoki, Dimitri Vegas, Like Mike and many more. His DJing abilities and original mixes afforded him the opportunity to travel to multiple places around the world, and apart from his key areas of expertise which are house and trance, he also mixes Bollywood music. Clement believes that music is a gift that keeps on giving, and to pay it forward and strengthen the art form of DJing, he established his own music academy, the Music School. His school is touted as one of the best institutes that cater to those aspiring for a career in production or playing electronic music. His work is setting the tone for the future in electronic and house music, and his style and talent for his craft remains unmatched. Right guys, and now here he is, India's Mix Master, Bangalore's Live Wire, and my dear friend, DJ Clement. Hi Clement.
Sir,
How are you?
I'm honored to be a friend of yours, to be honest.
Oh my God. Don't believe what he says. He's biased.
No, I really wish I could be biased and stuff. Maybe rarely in my life I am also, and I think one needs to be at times. But I really I first saw you, I think in the year 96 or 97. I'm not too sure. I used to grow up with, I grew up amongst friends more than my family. And they had a habit of going to, every year to going to Vaishno Devi.
Okay.
So Delhi used to be the stop before we carried on or before we came back. And on the return journey, because when going na sab log sant hai, everyone wants to behave. But ek bar udhar, you have finished praying and you come down from there. Then Delhi used to be the party spot.
Okay.
So I remember my friends from Delhi, they got us to a club called My Kind of Place.
Yes, My Kind of Place. Yes.
Was it in the basement?
Yes, it was at Taj Palace Hotel.
It was the first time ever I came into a nightclub in Delhi, and you were the DJ over there. And man, like you were blowing the entire club upside down. It was, I mean, not literally, but but you had something unique about the way you used to play, because I used to party in Bombay and I've heard DJs, and we didn't have the best of gadgets at that time, so it was either turntables or just plain some just very newly pitch control CD players that had come out. So, and I wasn't a professional myself, so to judge, but you had something about you. So, and then fortunately, once I got into the profession, we ended up meeting, and we are now friends for over 20 years.
Yes, yes.
So the
Yes.
pleasure is all mine, sir, not yours.
No, Clement, you've nearly completed 25 years in this, and how, all the party people in this country, they know you, they know how you rock the nation, and I would like to start this chat with how it all began, how it all started. Can you tell us about that?
See, if I tell you how it all began, it's a freaking long story, but I'll cut the long story short.
Okay.
Childhood in the early teens suddenly changed a lot for me. It became extremely hard.
Okay.
I lost my family and all of those things. So my livelihood was no more looked after. I had to fend for myself. So
Okay.
what a child would do in his teenage. I could not be doing all those things because I had to look after myself. I had to fend for myself. I had to go do a job. I could not really complete my studies. So one fortunate night, I was not a very friendly person about nightlife, because whatever little nightlife I saw in movies back in the day, they didn't project anything good. They always projected bad things in nightlife. There is always some firing, some smuggling.
Yeah.
So so I was anyway doing enough of bad things, and I did things in life. So I was not a big fan of nightlife. But for some fortunate reason, that one night that I went to celebrate a friend's birthday, I think it was in the year 95 or 96, and that night actually for me was like, it took away my pain in the night. It made me it made me forget about whatever was going on in my life in the day. Like when I was listening, when the music played, when people were dancing, to watch them dance, to dance yourself, I was in a different world, I felt at that time. And then again, when the nightclub shut, I was going back to my own world. So this thing, like now I didn't want to leave this. So for me, every night I now wanted to go out just to be there, just to enjoy that moment, just to forget about the pain in the day. That's how it started, as me wanting to party, wanting to be out there. And then again, fortunately, I made friends with all DJs. So that's how my DJing journey began,
And which was your first club?
My first club I got a break was this underground kind of downtown place in Bombay. In Marol, it was a club called Blackout. And
yes.
It stuck. It was by the name, it was a Blackout club. It had only, I think, some 24 UV lights, maybe a few lights on the dance floor, rectangular dance floor. Everything was UV, and that club only started buzzing after midnight, after 12:31 in the night, and it is to be on till 1. It is to be on till 6, 7 in the morning, and that club was a typical example of what do you say, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Oh, that club was a full-fledged example, and fights, and fights.
Yeah.
So, so that's how I was. It was a very fluke situation that I got into DJing, because it was just that that particular night, the resident DJs had some argument between themselves, and they walked out halfway. Halfway into the night, they walked out. So I used to watch them. I used to be there. I knew the basics. So I saw the track almost coming to an end. So मैं जाके दूसरा गाना बजाया. Now the track I played was around 1 o'clock sometime, and the next thing I know, it was 6 in the morning. So that's how my DJing career started.
Yeah. So you were at the right place at the right time.
I was at the right place at the right time for some reason, because you know what? Before this DJing by fluke happened, I was doing all kinds of job to earn some bucks. मैं catering में काम किया है, मैंने बर्तन धोया है, in these for weddings and stuff like that, because I wanted to eat free food. I could not afford my own food. And door to door sales किया है, shopper stop में sales boy का काम किया है, and done a lot of other jobs before the DJing scene happened. But once the DJing happened, I didn't have to do anything. Like, I'm still a DJ.
But now that you have played nearly all over the world, if I ask you your 3 favorite venues, which would they be?
One of my most favorite places to play would be the first club I ever came to play in Bangalore, called UFO. You know,
Okay.
it had one of the most finest sound systems in the country, and the lights done by Mr. J. Davis, and they
Okay.
still are rocking the sound and light scene even today. I would definitely even say Blackout for me was some experience, because the things that
Okay.
happened back then, they don't happen anymore. You know, the kind of activity that
Okay.
used to happen in the night back then, it doesn't happen anymore. And abroad, every place has got its own charm. You know, I've played in places like, you know, from Ibiza to Miami, everywhere, and
Yeah.
I prefer playing in those places whenever I get an opportunity, to the crowd over
Okay.
there, because they know their music. They know their music, and they accept what you play. You know, if you're doing the right job, if you're doing it well, they accept it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have a favorite place, because, you know, anything can surprise you at times. But yeah, at times when you want to go back in time, then there are some places that I would really like to go and play again.
And I know that you have played with so many international artists. You have performed with them. If I ask you your favorite 3, who would they be?
You know, I loved playing opening with Paul Van Dyke,
Okay.
and I actually even liked opening for Tiesto. I
Okay.
opened in three cities for him, and for that matter of fact, I even liked while I opened for David Guetta in
Okay.
why it's a very weird reason, because, you know, at that time, even now David Guetta is one of the biggest names, but this is about 8 years back or 9 years back. He was like up there, you know. He was one of the most busiest DJs in the world, and he was one of the
Okay.
top DJs to have around. So while I was playing in Goa, I had a crowd of about maybe 12,000 to 15,000 people in front of me, but everyone was just like this. They were just waiting. they were just waiting for, you know, for David Guetta to come on, and they could not give a damn
Yeah.
about what I was doing. And I'm just thinking, like, man, at least thoda to hilo. But you know, yeah, I have had the privilege of being in lineups that have hosted some extremely, that have been really big festivals, and I've hosted some very big lineups and big DJs. So I've been fortunate enough to, and you know me, I'm a little social kind of a person. So I make friends with these guys, and then when I travel, I try and stay in touch with their management. When I'm abroad, I try and get myself on their guest list, and I try and meet them, and I maintain my contact with them in some way, because, you know, apna industry mein bana ke rakhna padta hai, you know.
Yeah. Okay, Clement. Now, nearly 2.5 decades, and you've seen so much change. You've seen the crowd change. You've seen the club change. You've seen the music change. You've seen the formats change from turntables and now to pen drives. According to you, how have these changes been? Have they been for the best, or do you think it was better time before? How do you think these changes have impacted the way people look at clubbing now?
Change cannot be avoided, you know.
Yeah.
It does not matter what, a human mind is always trying to do things to progress.
Yeah.
So a change cannot be avoided. I feel that change, sometimes it's good, maybe sometimes it's not. But what if it is possible for you to be stuck up and not bring that change in you, then it's fine. But for most of them, it's not possible. You have to adapt the change. You have to grow with the change. Otherwise, what happens is somewhere you are hung. You know, somewhere you're hung. Somewhere you're limited. So I think I was very fortunate enough to be a DJ at the into that era when all these changes happened. Now the changes are not those many. You know, now the changes. I witnessed the cassette. I witnessed the DAT player. I witnessed the MD player, I witnessed a CD player, you know, I witnessed a turntable, and now what is the remaining from the past is a turntable. In fact, it's even amazing that even CDs don't exist anymore, you know.
Yeah.
So and the formats are pen drives and your digital Tractor, Serato, record box, all of those things. What you know, when all these formats came in, there was a lot of debate about you know, analog sound and digital sound and what is real, and this is you know, it's software, laptop, DJ, all of those things. But now, बहुत time हो गया. Now you cannot be stuck on the same topics. What really matters is the delivery of the product. Because your audience, when they come to dance to your music, now it does not matter whether they are coming to dance to you know, DJ Akhtar playing Bollywood, or they are coming to dance to Eric Prydz playing his progressive music.
Yeah.
They want to have a great time. They want to dance to that brilliant music that you're going to be playing. They don't give a damn about what your format is, what player are you using, whether it is updated, whether your laptop is, you know, or, Mac Sierra, or whether it is the recent OS. They don't care.
Very true.
They just, from an audience point of view, it does not matter. But from your personal point of view, it does. So if you prefer playing on turntables, you still can continue playing on turntables. There is digital, you know, interface that is there. And if you have the ability to purchase your genres, records from whenever they are being, you know, manufactured, well and good. If you like to play on, you know, your Serato and your Tractor and your record box, that the choice is yours. The comfort levels are yours. But it also depends on how innovative can you get, you know. So that's the only thing. Like in turntables, the feel and everything is amazing. But if you're not a turntablist, then you're not much innovative on it. You're very plain playing from one track into another track to another track, and you're just, you know, cross fading or channel fading, or you're cutting your bass, mids, highs, and you're just being a plain DJ. But if you're a turntablist, like, you know, some of the brilliant turntablists that we have in our very own country, like Cave, like Skip, like Kenai, like, you know,
Animation. Yeah.
Spin Doctor, you know, all of these guys, they are brilliant turntablists. So when you look at them, it looks like the bloody art, you know. If you understand what they're doing, it's not easy. That's minimum of 2 hours practice each day, minimum. And they are more real DJs, I can say, because, you know, they're doing a lot of manual things, you know. But at the same time, when it comes to your Tractor DJing or your Serato DJing or your record box DJing, you can be innovative in many ways. It just depends how you use it. So I'm not a big debate master over here as to what is better. If you have delivered the product, if your people have danced and enjoyed and had a great time, then boss, you are the winner for the night.
You have a great property, you have a great DJ school, and it's got a funky name, the music school. What are your objectives with that, and what do you plan to do with that? You know, how do you intend to go ahead and change the lives of your students with the music school?
Over the 2 decades of what I have achieved, what I have learned, and what I'm still learning, and what I have, you know, what relations I have built, I try and bring it all together to them. Because Jazzy, you and me both know that with one sync button, it becomes the most easiest to mix 2 tracks. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But DJing is way beyond that. DJing is not just trying to sync 2 tracks and mix 2 tracks. There is a lot to DJing, which now these people don't understand. We learned it naturally, the life that you and me have been through. But today for us, it's you know, transformed into an education system that we have to pass on to the youngsters. The youngsters, they have everything on their laptops and phones. They watch the biggest DJs performing on big stages, and they instantly want to be those people, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not that easy. I mean, like, and especially after what's happened, COVID and stuff, it's even more harder. So if someone thinks that, oh, I'm going to get into DJing or music production and I'm going to become a rock star, no, my friend, there are many people over there in a line waiting to be that rock star. So it's not the most easiest field to be in, but it's amazing. I mean, it's something that, music is people's passion, right? So when you get paid for it, you're the happiest person. So I try and kind of tame them down. I teach them the art, but beyond that, they have to take it. It depends on their ability. But I also tell them what is the most important factor that you require in this form of art that can make you popular is to be a good human being. So to be a good human being is very important. Otherwise, it really does not matter who you are. You gain no respect. You might gain that fame, that money, temporary, all of that stuff, but you gain no respect.
What about the message for the young DJs who want to take DJing as a profession, maybe join your institute? What about those people? The people who are inspired, like me, who are inspired by your energy, by the way you perform. So what kind of a message do you have for the young and for people like me who are inspired by you?
I feel humble when you're telling me all these things. There are so many things about you that I'm inspired. But yeah, okay. I accept, that compliment, and thank you, Jazzy. And my message to all the youngsters would be is don't get carried away with social media. Firstly, don't put your focus in wrong kinds of content, trying to create all these reels and all of those things, because the ones who have achieved on those reels, they've just been lucky, and there is going to be a saturation point to all those things. Try and do something that is more real. Try and convey messages, even if you're doing your reels, and even if you're trying to make a reputation for yourself on social media. Try and be more realistic, convey more real messages. All these memes and stuff like that, it's just entertainment. It really doesn't, it just puts a smile on someone's face maybe, but that's it, And as far as the music is concerned, if you can afford and dedicate all your time and you have the money to it, then go for it. Don't stop yourself. And definitely not just my academy. Research on some more academies in your zones. And there are fantastic academies all over the country today. Definitely learn from a professional, because just learning on YouTube and becoming a champion is very few people's skill. Not everybody has that ability to just learn. A lot of people still like to be taught manually. That's where we come from. The music school is there. And I would always today advise is to have a plan B. Don't just depend on your music right now, because we don't know what is happening, what's going on and stuff. There's a lot of uncertainty, but it's not going to be there forever. But at the same time, the race mein zyada log aa rahe, There's a lot of people, and we are creating them. So always have a backup, always have a plan B. Don't be disappointed if something doesn't work out. Be patient, because whatever we have achieved didn't come within a week, within 2 months, within 2 years. We've been around for over 20 years, and it has happened all gradually and slowly, and it's still happening, and that will happen. So that's when it will happen for longer periods. When it happens all of a sudden, it also comes down all of a sudden. So my message is just be patient and follow the right kind of people. Don't follow people that will not make any difference to you in your life. Follow the people who, like, even if it's from a DJ to someone who, even if it's a yoga or even if it's real life, admiration that you want to follow some, just try and follow some people that make real sense to you, and not get carried away by today's generation content that goes up over there, because not all of it is going to last for long. So that's my that's my advice. And try and stay stronger, and try and have good people around you. Make sure the people around you are more positive people than negative people, because having good company around you is the most important thing. So always have people around you that support you and that do get negative with you. That can pull you out of your issue if you have one. And I can go on giving advices, but I think these are enough.
Wonderful, amazing practical advice. Wonderful, Clement. I know you're a busy guy, so thank you so much to take out time. Thank you so much.
Jazzy, like I said, sorry about this delay that has happened between you and me and this session. I'm more than honored that I've had this privilege in this lifetime that we've had this moment between the two of us to share this. Yeah. And if anybody can make sense out of this, they enjoyed this. Thank you to you guys also. And Jazzy, I always look up to you, and even today, for what you do towards your passion of collecting records and being one of the and holding many awards and accolades. So all the best, and I hope that very soon the world recognizes this achievement of yours, and you're going to be on the Guinness Book. So I pray that happens very soon.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you, Clement. It's always a pleasure chatting with you, brother. Thank you so much.
Same here, Jazzy. Thank you, and see you all. Bye-bye.
And now we come to the end of this episode featuring Indian Mixmaster Clement D'Souza and his insights into his life and love for music. Do tune into our next episode, which will once again feature another Mixmaster who has been rocking India. I hope all of you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please subscribe to this channel and like and share this video so that others can appreciate these great Mixmasters too. You can also send any questions, suggestions or feedback to this email, jazzyvinyl@yahoo.com. For all music lovers and DJs watching, enjoy and get inspired. Till next time, have fun and join the Mixmasters who will rock you forevermore.
India Mixmaster. Jazzy Joe, me, Top Indian DJ. Here we go.
Check it out. Check it out. Check it out.